Kenyan farmers have conducted research in rural and urban settlements to better understand the impact of the restrictions imposed during the Covid-19 pandemic and the way people are organising to be more resilient. Our correspondent Oscar Apeldi has the story.
They lost their jobs, ran out of money, and didn't even have enough to get face masks.
Sometimes there was no money to pay for the masks, right? We had to adapt to living a lot of things and get by with what we had. Many people were unemployed. They were fired, so finding ways of make a living was very hard. We are survivors. How can we prepare for future pandemics?
They don't feel ready for future pandemics because they lack both financial stability and minimal health coverage.
There is a new generation sitting, waiting and still depending on our generation. Therefore, it is still worrisome. If it comes, we will die, yes.
They created small vegetable gardens and the young raised dogs, rabbits, even goats, and hens in order to have alternative sources of income, but they had to reduce everything to a minimum because they couldn't secure food to feed the animals.
Not just for the hens, we didn't have it for us. Lockdown prohibits travel from one country to another.
We must recognize the past. We have lived and closed it. Now we must focus on the present that we live.
Many of people who live in Madara informal settlements, they are not employed, they are casual workers. So most of them, they were laid out. Nobody wanted them into the house because they consider like COVID is in the slum, because most of the people in the slum did not get the mask from the government. Government should hear this from the people. They never played any part. Because we were waiting for the government to come to the rescue and nobody came. So we organized ourselves locally and we survived the pandemic.
What did they usually eat? Cabbage. And what another thing? And rice, and beans, and corn. To ugali. We lived on what we had. If you had 100, you can buy meat and eat rice. We have saved on the managu, the vegetable, little by little.
Vegetables such as the potatoes, the beans, that's how we fill up to survive.
That is the Office of the Defenders of the Rights of Women, a social movement that organized to ask for help in its network of contact.
One thing that I learned also the power of network. There was a lot of friends who came for us as coalition were personal friends, and they were able to share and link it with different people. Philanthropic work is not bad, it's good, but it's not sustainable. And it takes away people's power. People's power in terms of holding the leaders into account. Because you find we wanted also people to ask their political leaders who had budget for COVID the support, but they saw us that it's our responsibility to feed them. And then also, despite COVID, people coming knocking my personal space at night, for us the main thing was to focus on human rights and feminist approach in terms of our distribution. Like us, we're also giving sanitary towel, we're also paying rent for other people. We also like buying beds, the ones the houses were getting to floods.
Most of the girls, they were having unprotected sex and getting pregnant because of buying sanitary towels.
The government aid was not only insufficient, but there were also disruptions in public services. Already minimal, even the water must be purchased in drums for 20 shillings. The purpose of this study is to analyze what should change in the future and to promote awareness, also to value good practices and empower the social basis so that they get involved and hold the political leaders accountable.
Desde Madare, Oscar Apeldi para teleSUR.